We are on planet Earth. We are here in physicality and matter, and we are here to live. Life is to be lived. Life is about finding our joy and be our authentic selves. Life is to be lived a life, to have this willingness, this lust for life. I cannot think of a more delicious and joyful energy to have flowing through us this love love for life itself. And for me, what this means when it comes to spirituality is that spirituality is practical, it is hands-on and grounded in everyday lives. It's not about withdrawing for life, quite the opposite. Spirituality is about supporting us to live more holy, more fulfilling lives in true alignment to who we truly are beyond physical beings. For we are souls within our bodies, but we do have bodies and we are here. And what I mean by that is that I understand that although I'm speaking about the beauty of life, life can be quite difficult. That we can experience so much suffering and feel so alone and misunderstood, all of which can make us feel that we don't want to be here right now, that we don't belong here right now, that we want to withdraw. And a consequence of this feeling of not knowing how to be here in full joy and dealing with the hardships of life is that we look for escapisms. So escapisms, when we talk about that, there are quite a few things that come directly to our minds. It can be to be on social media or all the time, or drinking a lot of alcohol and doing drugs to escape this reality, oversleeping, being all the time in our beds and shutting ourselves down. There are certain things that we consider like obvious escapisms to living life. However, everything can be an escapism. It is about our intention of why we are doing what we are doing. And with that, what I would like to bring is this awareness that even spirituality can be escapism to living. We can use spirituality as a tool to withdraw from life a lot. We can lock ourselves in our rooms and only read about occultism and meditate for hours and hours no stop and not know anymore how to interact with our fellow human beings. We disconnect, thinking that we're connecting just with the spirituality, but with that intention that we find life hard. And so we find in spirituality a refuge to escape from life. Now, don't get me wrong, I work as a spiritual guide. I meditate a lot to tell all of my clients to meditate. I'm not talking about not doing spiritual practices, but it is this understanding of why we're doing what we're doing. Because as I see it, this practicality of life, this living, means that yes, we do need to take care of ourselves and heal ourselves so we can live better. So we go to a silent retreat or whatever your practice is on your own in your living room, but then we come back. We do these practices to be better when we are here with everybody, not to withdraw from society, but to live more fully in this world, to be part of this world, to be here in this world and to cultivate this joy. It is considerably easy to be peaceful and full of love when we are alone and only dealing with ourselves. Much of our spiritual growth happens through relationships, through having to deal with those moments that we are triggered to these difficulties in relating. Those are moments of expansion, and I know we can feel quite a lot of discomfort, but growth comes from this discomfort, because when we feel that discomfort, then we have a potential of growth and healing there. If all we do is making sure that we step back and never feel discomfort, like keeping ourselves so safe, we're not exactly healing and taking care of ourselves. Now, of course, there are moments in life when we go through big breakups and trauma, and we do need to withdraw and to be silent. Silent is super valuable. The thing is, when we make that our norm, when it becomes a pattern, because every pattern, everything we just keep on repeating from a place of safety, from a place of autopilot, from this automatic mode, it is not necessarily serving our growth and the expansion of our being. So realizing when we are just stuck in patterns, be it addiction to substances or simply our behaviors, what is it that is stagnant in us, is a beautiful contemplation to have, to realize what is it that we're doing. Now, spiritual growth happens in so many different ways, and there's great value in spiritual practices. I mean, a big part of my work as the guide is to channel practices for people, practices that will support their current blockages and their current bottlenecks in life so they can expand. Now, practices not always are about being alone in our room doing the practices. Sometimes practices is about observing our patterns as they grow in everyday life and changing them. Being able to listen to what life has to tell us, the elements, the people that are around us. Everything is constantly mirroring us. So we get to learn so much about ourselves through what is actually happening in our everyday lives. There's so much that we can just read about. This is not a path of only mental investigation. This is a path of living, and we're here on earth. We're here, we can live, we're all worthy of joy, of being our authentic selves, of living our purpose. And the way that we live it is through living it, not through hiding from life. And again, yes, life can be so painful, and there are so many triggers and so many things for us to pay attention to dedicate our time and energy to. I know it can be overwhelming, especially in the society that we live right now, where there's so much stimuli, so much information, so many expectations all the time. And healing that is a huge work, and it is a work that we can do as part of society. And withdrawing sometimes, of course, taking our time, taking a step back, observing, learning what is it to change, doing the practices that allow alchemical processes to happen in our energy field, and then returning to life, to our loved ones, to society, and in a way allowing ourselves to live, to actually see the results of our work. Because if when we come back everything irritates and triggers us the same way, maybe there hasn't been such a big change. And another way is our role as carrying light, to allow this light to come to others so that the world changes. Because if we withdraw from the world, we don't actually change anything in the society as it is now. We can all contribute and be part of it, because we are in this together. We are one. We can be lighthouses simply by being ourselves around others and allowing our ways of seeing things to multiply, to expand, and shine the light in everyone. So spirituality is a beautiful path. Spiritual growth can bring so many fruits into our lives. And I love this path so deeply that I devote my life to it. And it's just this awareness that I'm not talking necessarily that spiritual growth is escapism, but this is this understanding that everything can be escapism. Everything. If we're always alone, it can be an escapism from the collective. But if we're always together with a lot of people, that can also be an escapism from dealing with our problems on our own. So everything can be an escapism based on why we're doing that. And that requires a lot of self-awareness of our motives and our drivers. And by escaping, we're actually escaping life, which is the most precious and sacred thing we have. Life is precious. We are divine. And we can live here in joy, be ourselves, and plant these seeds of light in everyday life. Because again, spirituality can be practical, hands-on, and rooted in everyday life. Life can be magical at all times. And that is the greatest work, the work of living a life of joy. Joy that comes from within. Joy that is not a reaction to things not going our way, because it is this reacting to things that we don't like that takes us to escape in the first place. But we want to let go of this reactive mode, this constant just reacting automatically to things, and coming from this place of empowerment, of joy from within, that it is about taking the self-mastery over our lives and expanding joy and expanding our heart space in our lives. And with that, living here now, living here every day. In everyday life, magic is all around us. So take a note on your behaviors when it comes to your spiritual practices and the reasons why you're being drawn into these practices, and just make sure that you keep living your life. You're here to live, so live fully, live in joy, live from your heart. If you would like to learn more about spiritual growth, take a look at my free guide, What is Spiritual Growth? You will find the link in the video description below. Click on subscribe on the bottom below this video to be updated about my upcoming videos about spiritual growth and self-fulfillment. I am Aline Ra M, spiritual guide. I'm like confusing my own name now. I am Aline Ra M, spiritual guide, healer, and teacher. And I thank you for taking your time and energy and sharing yourself with me right now.